Welcome to Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged, a podcast for all women with a creative business who want to learn more about how to make money doing something they love. I'm Joanne Pearce, a female entrepreneur myself, 15 years experience running my own handmade stationery business, Vintage Twee. I'm an established seller on two of the biggest handmade marketplaces, so I've got a whole load of advice to share about how to start and run your own successful creative business. I'm also a wife and a mother, so I get the struggles of trying to do it all while you're raising a family. It's hard. Alongside running Vintage Twee, I'm also a mentor for other women like me who desperately want to work for themselves but just need that bit of support to get going and get their business dream off the ground. I'm a friendly northerner, I'm open and honest with a huge heart and a real fighting spirit, and I'm living proof that you can achieve anything that you set your mind to, even in the face of adversity. This podcast celebrates the selflessness, strength, and resilience of women in business. So if you're ready to ditch the 9 to 5 and learn how to start your own successful creative business, you're in the right place. Hello and welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. Another week has gone by. I hope it's been kind to you. I've woken up with a bad cold this morning thanks to the kid germs that are going around our house at the moment. So I might sound a little bit bunged up, but I wanted to get this podcast episode recorded before it turned into like a full-blown, a cold with a cough and sore throat, and then I'd have absolutely no chance. So first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed to my Substack account. You are absolute legends. I was really overwhelmed actually by some of the emails that I got that said how much they enjoyed the podcast, and of course they wanted to follow me on Substack, so thank you so much. Hopefully you're getting an email straight to your inbox now, which will tell you when I've uploaded a new episode, as well as you'll get a weekly article on a Monday which is related to the Book Queen podcast of that week, just to help you a little bit on your entrepreneur journey. You know how much I like to do that. Don't forget, if you are a paid subscriber, you'll also get an additional podcast episode every Friday, which is exciting, as well as access to my chat room so we can catch up, meet each other, and ask any creative business questions that you've got. I'll be there. And also, you might meet some other ladies in there who are in the same boat as you, because you never know who you're going to meet by doing a little bit of networking. I'm also going to be offering some how-to tutorials through that subscription as well. It's £6 a month. It's basically the cost of a posh coffee, put it that way. Like, seriously, I paid £5.95 the other day for some fancy seasonal coffee in Starbucks. I nearly fainted at the till. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, right, that's enough about that. Let's get to it. So today's episode is for you if you're a bit broke. I mean, who isn't broke throughout the whole of January? I know it's been a tough one here, but the reality is people have no money in January, having spent it all at Christmas. Business is always absolutely dead. I mean, I had to check my Etsy and not on the high street shops. It was still there the other day. I sent myself a few emails just to make sure they were working. It was that quiet. And not only is it demotivating and frustrating, it's also really worrying because we've still got bills to pay. Slow sales in January don't help us feel confident about the start to the year, do they? It doesn't actually feel like at this point 2025 is going to be your year and the best year for your business. Like, I've had 3 sales on Etsy throughout the whole of January and 3 sales on Not on the High Street. Wow, brilliant. Not going to retire on that, am I? But it's quite possibly the worst start to the year in Vintage Twee history. And I've panicked a bit. Like, I've cried a bit too, if I'm honest. And I don't know why, because it's pretty much the same every damn year. Like, you'd think I'd know what to expect after doing this for 15 years on the trot, wouldn't you? But apparently not. But January is a notoriously slow month for retail and small business owners in general. And I think the only businesses that actually make a profit in January are probably gyms and travel agents, because everybody is fat and knackered after Christmas. They just want to shift the Christmas weight, don't they, and book a bloody holiday. They have something to look forward to. Oh, and maybe funeral directors as well. They're always busy after winter, aren't they? Inevitable. But, keeping our heads above water isn't easy. And it's not made any easier by these rising costs that we're all experiencing, in our personal lives and our business. Like, materials and supplies for your business are costing more. Not to mention, just in general with your household bills, it's very hard to navigate. And I totally get and understand the financial struggles that small business owners are facing, and especially in these times of economic uncertainty, because I am in the same boat as yourselves. So today's episode is all about how we can ease this pressure a little. You know, when sales are slow and you're wondering how you're going to pay for your food shop that week, we want to take that worry away as much as possible. And today's episode is all about how you can bridge this gap financially when things are quiet. So we're going to look at some realistic things that you can do to generate some extra income using the skills that you've already got. And it's all legit, I promise. Like, you won't need to sell your body or your soul, unless, of course, you want to. That's totally your choice, no judgment here. But I don't want you to be feeling worried about paying your bills. It's awful. Like, I still worry about it now, every single month. It's just the nature of this unpredictable beast that is self-employment, I'm afraid. And you do get used to living on a wing and a prayer. The key, I think, is not to put all your eggs in one basket. Now, I'm not talking about getting 3 part-time jobs here. I'm talking about looking at your existing skills that you're using day to day in your business, or even just something that maybe you're just naturally good at, and turning them into a bit of side income. And I'm doing this episode because I can share with you my own experience with this, and because I have started looking into and actioning some additional income streams just to provide us with a bit of a safety net when things are a bit rocky. It means you are adapting, right? And we're going to go into this in a minute, but I think you're going to get some good ideas today about some things that you could do and some opportunities out there now, which you might not know about, to help you make some extra cash. So, first of all, I want to talk about this feeling of failure that you might have experienced when you're not making any money, right? The guilt or the shame that you might be feeling because you can't contribute that month to the bills account. Or you're buying Norpack butter instead of Lurpak. Or what happened in our house last week. So my daughter likes these chocolate crepes from Marks and Spencer's. Like, she's got really expensive taste. It drives me insane. So when I get my Ocado shop every week, I can't afford to do a full-blown M&S shop, you know. I wish. But I like to see a few of their bits in my basket at the very least. But anyway, so yeah, she likes these crepes from Marks and Spencer's. Now, January has been a tough month. So we decided to swap the Ocado shop for Lidl that last week, just to keep costs down a little bit. And I do like most of Lidl's food, but I substituted Eden's crepes, the M&S ones, for Lidl's own, which were obviously not the posh Belgian chocolate ones that she's used to. Well, I gave her one for breakfast the other morning. And honestly, you'd think I'd made her eat a pile of dog shit, right? I mean, I took the packaging off first to try and fool her into thinking that they were just the usual crepes, because I wouldn't have had a hope in hell getting it past her lips otherwise. Right, so I did that sneakily in the kitchen. Anyway, then I put it on a plate like normal. I gave it to her, and then I kind of like ran back into the kitchen and just waited for the fallout. After she took a bite, I literally just heard this, "Mummy, this crepe tastes like the bin." Ugh! And it was just followed by this really dramatic gagging noise. I mean, it weren't that bad. You know, granted, they were no Belgian chocolate delight, but they were edible. But apparently not to her highly trained taste buds. So I ended up buying the bloody Marks and Spencer's ones in the end anyway. I ended up spending more, not less. Should have just got them in the first place. But it's not a nice feeling, is it? You know, not being able to have the little things that you want, and also some of the things that you need, like hot water and heating and Wi-Fi. We need to be able to pay our bills. And it was the same for me. So I felt as guilt and shame that my main business, or businesses, they weren't always enough. But actually, I realised I needed to get over that. Like I said, that is the nature of self-employment. Some months you're flying and you think you're going to be a millionaire by the end of the year. And other months you're like, where the hell is everybody? Like, it's crazy, the difference. And it wasn't helping me to be thinking like that, you know, I was feeling upset and shameful that I wasn't contributing the way that I should. It just made me feel worse. And I realised I needed to have a mindset shift. And I needed to be thinking more about not what I wasn't doing or what wasn't happening for us, but more about what I could do, about getting a safety net for us to maybe generate a few different streams of income. It wasn't a sign of failure, and it's not. It's actually a really smart business move. Like, how do you think other businesses survive during tough times? They always have a backup plan. Some of the most successful businesses diversify their revenue because things change very quickly in the consumer world, in the world in general, right? And it only takes one thing to put you up shit creek. Like, look at COVID, for example, right? That wiped out the travel industry, the entertainment industry, my industry at the time, weddings and events, for a significant amount of time. Like 2, 3 years of knock on effect. And to be honest, it still hasn't recovered fully. And some businesses folded completely. But just like that, a world event changed everything. You have to think to yourself, what would you do if Instagram closed down tomorrow? And that's the only way you've got of reaching your customers. Or Etsy shuts its doors and was no more. Or even on a different level, like your supplier goes bump and you can't get what you need to make your best selling products anymore. You know, the one that is always guaranteed to sell and pays your bills every month. You're screwed if you put all of your eggs in one basket. You might have heard of Oliver Bonas company. They started as a fashion and gift shop, but now like they've expanded their revenue streams in so many ways just to bring in more money. So their core business remains clothing and jewelry and accessories, but now they also have a homeware and furniture range. They do books and stationery, like planners and notebooks. They do collaborations with artists and brands, and they release unique collections. And they do all this because it's a sensible business move. It's a sensible business model that we can all use and apply to our own businesses. Because the reality is, in today's uncertain economy, that you're going to have to learn to be flexible and to adapt if you want to stay afloat. So I thought it'd be really helpful today to look at some ways that you can do this, some realistic and manageable ideas, some of which may excite you, some of which might not, that's okay. I'm just here to give you some ideas based on my experience of things that I've done and am doing that you could consider as another income stream, like running from your main business. And some of them may be quicker than others in generating you some extra cash. And some of them are like long-term plays. They're not going to be overnight. But all of these ideas, they've got one important thing in common. And that is that they use your existing skills. And they require little, probably if any, investment at all. Just your time. Which, we all have in abundance, right? Yeah, right. Anyway, let's start. First of all, by looking at 2 ways that I have just started to try. And I'm going to share my experience so far with you so you can figure out if either of them are going to be good for you too. And these 2 things are Amazon KDP, which stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, and Substack. So I'm going to start with Amazon KDP. Right now, if this one interests you, my bonus episode this week is dedicated especially to it. And it's going to go into a lot more detail about how it all works, how you actually do it, the upsides, the downsides, and everything that I've kind of learned as I've gone through the process of setting it up. So if you're keen on learning about this, you'll find that a useful episode for sure. But Amazon KDP might be a good option for you if you like to write, or you could create any resources around whatever it is you do. Right, so what is it? So KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, and it's a self-publishing platform. So you can actually create a book or a resource and sell it on Amazon, like worldwide. Now, the good thing is you don't need any funds to do it because it's what you call a print-on-demand service. So basically, Amazon prints it whenever you make a sale. The only thing you need to do initially is design it, obviously, upload it to their system and list it. And then literally that's all you do in terms of the physical work. So there's no shipping to customers, they do it all. That is like a massive plus for me, particularly. Hate going to the post office. There's no cost of materials because they sort it all out, they're printing it. So I signed up before Christmas because I wanted to try it out. Obviously, I've not got enough to do, so I thought I'd have something else to the plate. But it's a bit of research. I wanted to see it as a bit of research for this podcast so I could tell you about it, tell you about my experience. So I decided to try it with something simple and with a range of notebooks because, I love stationery and I thought it'd be really cool to have a range for her handmade hustle as well. And at the end of the day, designing is in my blood. It's what I do. And I do need to get this design fixed regularly or my brain just explodes. Plus, I'm a total stationery addict. Like, it's like a proper real addiction. I think I've got more notepads than I do pairs of knickers, honestly, it's true. So I've worked on a few designs. A really simple 120-page lined notebook with quotes on the front. I've got one that says, "Dare to write what others only dare to dream." And I've got another one that says, "Building my empire, one scribble at a time." Oh, and then inside, there's a mix of lined pages, there's motivational, inspirational quotes scattered throughout, and then there's some dedicated space for doodles and sketches. Basically like a brain dump area, because I always find that really helpful in a notebook, just somewhere to turn at the back that you can just like draw or sketch or do whatever's in your brain. Anyway, I figured out the process and how to do it. I got it approved and I uploaded it onto Amazon. It's pretty cool, right? You know, like my husband is obsessed with Amazon. I know he's got high hopes for this idea. I'm sure he thinks we're going to be able to retire on it by this time next year. Wishful thinking, but you never know. I'm hoping it's just going to bring in a little side income for us, maybe enough to save for a holiday, some home improvements, or just something to put away for a rainy day. Now, obviously, it's great because you don't have to lay any money out, right? You don't have to do any of the customer service, you don't have to ship anything. But obviously, there's a price for this, literally. You aren't left with much after Amazon take their commission and the printing costs out. So, to give you an example and help you imagine it, I'm selling my notebooks on there at £5.99. The printing cost, which Amazon does work out for you before you decide on your price, that's really helpful, is £2.06 per book. Now, after Amazon's commission, whatever they take out, I'm actually left with £1.54. So that's all I get for each book that sells. Now, on the surface, you're like, oh, well, that's pretty crap. I should be getting, £4 at least per book. But when you think about it, I'm not actually doing anything once I've designed and listed it. And apart from obviously market it and try and get some traffic to the page, but it's not like I've got to wrap it, I've got to box it up, I've got to ship it, I've got to deal with the customers, I've got to print it, I don't even have to do that. So it's literally just a passive income, which is how you have to view it. Now, at £1.54 per notebook, it's going to be a long time before we get to Disneyland, right? But imagine if it gains momentum. Like, imagine you sell 100 a month. That's like 154 quid that you didn't have before. Imagine if you sell 200 a month. That's £308 extra a month in your account. So you have to think volume with this kind of stuff. Like, you want the clicks. You need the quantity. That's how like websites like Temu work and Shein. They sell most of their stuff at a loss per unit because they sell that much of it that it makes up for, and it doesn't matter to them. They're relying on quantity and clicks. So it's very similar with Amazon KDP. And, they're worldwide. So at the end of the day, you've got the means to reach a lot of people. So my books have been on there, about a week or so now. I haven't promoted them yet, so I can't feedback on sales, but I will be covering exactly what I have been learning about KDP in the bonus episode and how to encourage sales and get going on there. But in the meantime, if you find yourself in the mood for a new notebook and you want to see what it's like, I'll leave the link to them on Amazon in the show notes, which is the episode description. So go and have a look. It's worth seeing it. And when they came, I ordered myself 2 sort of proof copies, and the quality was decent. Like, the front cover is a lovely matte finish, feels really nice to the touch. The paper quality wasn't as thin as I expected. I mean, I'm a stationery snob, like, I will admit it. If it was up to me, I'd have gold edges, I'd have a band that wrapped around the notebook, I'd have really thick paper, a pocket on the inside. But I'm starting out, okay, and it's better to start than not. And that may come one day, and I might have my own little printing company, and I'll have my own stationery range that's in Selfridges or whatever. But for the moment, I've got to try it. And I'm always telling my ladies just to get started, so I decided to take my own advice. But this could be something that's worth thinking about for you too. I don't know, maybe you could design a book with sewing patterns if you are a sewer, or maybe you sell children's clothes and you could write a short children's story that could go with your business brand. Or maybe you could design a quiz book, or word searches, or a murder mystery one. I bought one of those for my friend the other day, actually. They're really popular now, these murder mystery like puzzles. They're really good. You could do a recipe book if you're in the food industry. And it doesn't have to be a book. I'm just talking about books because that's my experience, but you can do it with merchandise too, like t-shirts, mugs. You'll have to look into that, but print on demand is definitely something worth considering. So have a think if there's anything that you could put in print related to your area of expertise. So check out the bonus episode for more detailed information on this Amazon KDP and how to get going. So what I want to talk about now, a second way that you could maybe introduce some extra income is Substack, which I recently joined. Now, it is a social media platform still, but it's not like the others, at least not yet. Okay, obviously Instagram started out fabulous and for the people, and it's changed a lot. So far, my experience of Substack is really positive. There's no algorithms and gatekeepers that's holding back your content and the people who want to see it. And there's no adverts ruining your feed. There's no annoying influencers. Sorry. Well, there's not. It's just creators, writers, artists, people who are there for the written word, not reels. Like, I love it. It's right up my street because I love writing and I love reading what other people have written. But it feels like you're sort of going back in time a little bit, to the written word rather than this video content. And I love that. But how do you make an income from it? Well, so the first thing you need to do is obviously set up your account, but you need to be writing an article of some kind, just like you would a blog, right? So you need to think of it like a blog piece, but instead of publishing it on your website, you're publishing it on Substack. And you build up your free subscribers, okay, like you would on other platforms. Yeah. So you can start interacting with other writers or people on there that interest you. You can select like what interests you and what doesn't, and they will suggest people for you to follow. Build up some relationships just like you would on any other platform. But the difference with Substack is that people make that choice to press the subscribe button because they want to hear from you. So it's not just like I'll follow them and whatever, like it's on Instagram for numbers. Like if they choose a subscribe button, it means that they are expecting to receive something from you in their inbox. They're welcoming you into their inbox, which I think is lovely. And at the very least, they're going to want to receive a weekly helpful article or an entertaining read. Now, I host my podcast on there too, so it's all in one place, which is great. Then if people want more, they can upgrade to a paid subscription. So let's say, for example, you're a baker and you could do a free weekly article on baking related stuff like methods or recipes, I don't know, whatever bakers talk about. Right. But then you could then offer a paid tier where you could offer access to a library of your best recipes, or you could have a chat system where they could come and get help from you, or you can have question and answer sessions. You could review certain baking equipment, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money. Like my paid subscription is £6 a month, right? And for that, you get 4 extra podcast episodes a month, 5 if it's a 5-week month, it's 1 a week. You get access to the community chat where you can speak to me and other subscribers like you who are small business owners or not, just anybody who is interested in the same things as you. I'm going to be doing some video tutorials on stuff like Canva as well, other things that you might be struggling with. And the thing is, I love creating this kind of stuff. It's not a chore or an effort to me. If I know that people value it that much, that they're paying for it, that's amazing to me. I mean, imagine if you had 100 paid subscribers a month. That's £600 a month. Like, that is not to be sniffed at. And I'd be happy with 10 a month, to be honest with you. I'll be in Disneyland before he does 16. And if you're worried about charging for your knowledge or your content, and you're suffering from the old imposter syndrome when you're thinking, who am I to be doing this and to be charging for my knowledge? Well, don't. Everybody's an adult here. They can choose whether or not they want to subscribe to you if they like what you do. You're not forcing them, and you're still giving them as much value as you can for free. But there does come a point when you have to strike a balance between the free and the paid content, because you can't do everything for free. And it's something that I've realised, because a girl's got to make a living, right? We are simply offering more of our knowledge and our expertise and more of us for a small cost. And it's not an unreasonable thing. It's fair. And as the subscriber, you know and appreciate that the free stuff only gets you so far. Of course it does. If you want a deeper level of help or knowledge on something from someone who has that, then you have to be prepared to pay a little. It's a service. And if people are interested in what you do and they want to support you, they can. It's as simple as that. So don't feel guilty about it. You still love and you're still grateful for your audience, regardless of whether they are free or paying, right? But it's a way for you to really connect with the people who love what you do and create another stream of income for you because you deserve it and we all have to survive. And I think offering your knowledge for a small fee every month is a great, affordable way for people to get what they need or get what they enjoy, more importantly, as well as show support for what you do. And while we're on this topic of support, have you ever heard of a website called buymeacoffee.com? Right, I hadn't heard of it until I joined Substack, and some other creators had a link to it on their profile at the bottom of their articles. And I thought, what's this? And it's such a good idea, and it's something that anyone can do. So I would definitely consider it. So you literally sign up to the website, and it's dead simple, really easy. You just like write a couple of sentences about yourself, upload a photo, and then they give you a link, which is where people can go and leave you a donation to show support for what you do. So you can put it on your socials, you can put it on your newsletter at the bottom, you can add it to your website, but it's somewhere where people can go, do you know what? I enjoyed reading that, or I appreciate what you do. I'd like to buy you a coffee. It could be £1, it could be £3, whatever. But I just thought it was a really nice way of showing your support to creators. So you could do this for your business, right? Particularly if you do have a mailing list or you create a newsletter that people value, or maybe you've got a really good social media following and a community. I mean, I've set one up. I only set it up a few days ago. And I told my husband, Dave, and I sent him the link to show him. And I saw him on his phone, just looking at it for a few minutes, just looking really confused. And then he sort of like comes off it, puts his phone back in his pocket, and he went upstairs. It's like his 4th toilet visit of the day. Anyway, I said to him, well, what do you think? Does it look okay? And he was like, yeah, looks really good, yeah. I mean, I was going to give you a £5 just to get you off the mark, but I didn't. And I was like, oh, great. Thanks for that, Dave. Yeah, love, thanks for your support. Honestly, why even bother telling me? But, I think if you are in the creative circle and you like writing and you're just good at creating content that people appreciate, or even if you've just got this lovely little community of people on your Facebook page or your Instagram account, set one up. You've got nothing to lose. I just think it's a lovely thing to do. And it always makes me think of this one time my sister went into Costa or somewhere similar, I can't remember. And she went to get a coffee because she was having a rough day, right? Anyway, she must have looked visibly upset and down. So she ordered her coffee. When it came to pay, the barista girl said to her, here you go, it's free. And Emma looked at her and she asked why. And the girl just replied to her, well, we get to choose one customer every day to buy a coffee for, and I'm choosing you. I mean, Emma told me that she must have looked absolutely on the edge of a mental breakdown for her to, have been chosen for this free coffee. She was stood out a mile in the queue. But I just always think of that and it makes me smile. And actually, I won a free cup of coffee myself a few months ago in this little draw that they did on a Macmillan coffee morning in my local cafe. And I just ordered a coffee. And then I did the draw afterwards. I should have done it the way around. But anyway, I won one. I thought, well, I'm not going to drink it. So I said to the barista there, I said, save this and you choose someone to give a free coffee to that day. Because I knew how much it brightened my sister's day, and mine too, when she told me. And I just thought that it would be so lovely to do that for somebody else. And I often wonder, who she chose to give the coffee to. I really do. But buymeacoffee.com, go and check it out. It's definitely worth setting up an account because you just never know. So these are obviously more of a long game, and the income's not going to be instant, is it? But what if you're looking for something a little bit more right here, right now? You need something that's going to make you some quick cash. What other ways can you monetize your creative or business skills? Well, you could teach your craft. Okay, you could run a workshop if you've got the confidence to do so. Have you got a skill that people want to learn? Like maybe you crochet or you knit or you make candles, or you do pottery. Or maybe you're service-based and you could run a workshop or a webinar on your area of expertise, like it could be social media, it could be marketing, it could be technology, it could be public speaking. If you're going to do a physical workshop, you can charge per ticket. Like you could teach how to decorate cupcakes. So my sister and my niece took part in one of these where they live in Hertfordshire before Christmas. And they learned how to create these beautiful winter-themed cupcakes. Like they actually made like polar bears out of icing and everything. They did a cracking job. It was stunning. So the small business doing this was called Sweet Designs by Jenny. Now I'm following her on Instagram now, as I just love seeing what her customers learn to create from her class. So do go and give her a follow if you can on Instagram. She's lovely. But you could do something similar. You could teach a workshop or a class in whatever your craft is. You know, it doesn't have to be on a big scale either. You could just have like 6 spaces. Keep it manageable. Throw in a glass of Prosecco and a brew, depending on your preference. That'll get people through the door. As long as you've covered your costs, try and get a community venue for cheap or free, or see if you can host it somewhere. This is what I would do. I would see if I could host it somewhere that I can collaborate with, right? So maybe they get the benefit of having customers in their venue through the door, so they can then promote a product or service. And in return, you get a beautiful venue that people want to go to because it feels like an occasion, like to really indulge in some me time. It's what we all want, isn't it? And they feel like it's worth the experience. It depends on who your customers are, and only you're going to know that, of where they are most likely to go and feel comfortable in. But you just need to think how you can package your skills into a class of some kind. Like it could be a physical session, like I say, or it could be a virtual online workshop via Zoom. So what else could you do for that extra bit of income? So you could do a bit of freelancing on the side. Right, so for example, if you are a designer like me, I work with paper, but I've got a good eye for digital design. And I've often helped out colleagues with like logos and creating things like banners for their online platforms like Etsy or whatever. But I've also done events in the past. I've decorated venues. I did a fab Rapunzel themed birthday party for a friend once that was like the talk of the town for a while. It was ace. I actually made a Rapunzel plait out of massive long strips of yellow organza, and I plaited it. And I had loads of flowers in there, just like Rapunzel's hair. If you've ever seen the film Tangled, it looked just like that. And then the party itself was held on the second floor of this building. So I actually got the plait and I dangled it out of the window. So it basically draped all the way down to the floor. And then I managed to find this decal of Rapunzel, which I put on the same window. So it looked like the hair was coming off the picture down onto the floor. Had a huge balloon arch made and everything. And I just absolutely really enjoyed decorating that venue and doing that. It just helped me get a bit of money in when times are quiet with Vintage Twee. I even ran a couple of craft-themed birthday parties just to get some cash in, and this will make you laugh. Never again, I'm telling you, right? It was a girl's, I think she was eighth birthday party. She wanted a craft party, right? She had 2 requests for this craft party. One, she wanted to make crystals, because they're quite magical, apparently, like ponies and unicorns and all sorts. And the second one was that she wanted to make headbands. Well, for a start, crystals take about 3 days to grow. I had like an hour, so that wasn't happening. But never one to say no to a challenge. I thought of a way I could do it. I mean, it was the worst idea of my life. So that was what I thought. I thought I could get some large rocks from the beach or wherever, free, you know. And then I thought, get a load of bath crystals, you know, like Epsom salts that you buy in Home Bargains or Tesco or whatever. And I thought I'll dye them all different colours. So I'll have like pink and purple and yellow and green, and they'll look so magical. I'll sprinkle some glitter on them. And then I'll take these packets of these crystals along with me to the party with my glow gun. So then the girls could coat these rocks in the crystals just to make their own sort of instant keepsakes to take home. Genius idea, right? Turns out not. So halfway through this session, the salt crystals started melting with the heat of the bloody tiny room that we were in. So there was just like puddles of coloured water everywhere. Then I burnt the birthday girl's finger with my glue gun, so she started crying. Like, luckily, they had a visit from a pony at that point, so they all went outside with excitement to have a ride on that poor bugger that was dressed up as a unicorn, while I set up for craft number 2, which was the pony headband making, which thankfully went a lot better. I ended it on a high. And then the mum texted me afterwards telling me that her daughter said it was the best craft party ever. So luckily I got away with that one without getting sued. But honestly, it was like the hardest 100 quid I'd ever made, I'm telling you. But yes, you could do any kind of side gig related to what you know. So think outside the box. And, they could just be small things that don't take over from your main business. But the key to succeeding in whatever kind of side gig that you do is to create a community around your craft. Like, you need to become the go-to person. Think things like low-cost membership options that will create you a steady, reliable income. Now, before we finish this episode, I just want to say something crucial to all this that we've chatted about today. Right? It's not all going to work. And it's not all going to be right for you. You've got to decide on what interests you, what's doable, and what's exciting for you, more importantly, what's going to hold your interest. And then you want to pick one or maybe two maximum that fit your skills and your energy levels. Like, don't fall into the trap of spreading yourself too thin by trying to do it all. Because I know from experience that does not work. Right? You'll end up doing them all, but you'll end up doing them all really crap. You might have to try a few different things to see what you like and what you can see working and what fits with your lifestyle and is doable, but then pick one or two and stick to them. So mine are now Amazon KDP and Substack. Now, it's really important. You've got to test it. You've got to dip your toe in and see if you like the feeling first. And the very, very worst that can happen is that it doesn't work. And then you know that that's not the one for you. It's like a process of elimination. So I'm setting you a challenge, right? I want you to have a think about what other ways you could make some extra money from your business. Thinking either about the kind of stuff I've talked to you about today or something entirely different. And then I want you to take one small action towards making it happen. So that could be finding out a bit more about it, going on YouTube, watching a few videos, listen to the bonus podcast episode, ask someone who's done it already. Whatever, just start looking into it. I mean, if it all sounds a bit much for you and you'd rather go and have a lie down, I get that too, trust me. But I know that there are other ways that you can use your talent and your skills to earn you some extra income alongside your main business. So that's it for today. I think I've done really well without having a coughing fit. I'm proud of myself. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Remember, if you find yourself desperate for another fix before next week and you simply can't last another week without listening, then you don't have to. I release a bonus episode every Friday, which is available to the paid subscribers on my Substack. So think about it. Don't forget to share this episode with one person that you think would enjoy it. I would be eternally grateful. And as always, thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you next week.